Hello, and welcome to Tech and More. As requested by a few subscribers, we have come up with more videos designing test cases on a live registration page covering different scenarios. Now, the functionality under test right now in this video is a Salesforce DevOps registration page or a sign up page, as you can see on the screen right now, wherein you will be this page allows you to create or register or sign up for a DevOps, right? So in the previous video, we designed some generic test cases and I mean for this registration page. And in this video, we'll be designing the test cases for the name field, that is the first name field and the last name field. We'll be talking about different scenarios and we'll be designing them, right? But before starting, let me request you to share your feedback, to share your improvement suggestions, and to share your questions if you have any via comments. And we pledge to get back to you within 24 hours as we have been doing till now. So let's start. As you see on the screen right now, you have a spreadsheet wherein the test cases and the details are mentioned. Now, I would like to say one thing, that you might have this question that, in this era wherein practically all of the organizations or maximum of the organizations are not using spreadsheets for maintaining test cases. Why are we doing this? Right? You're right. But the thing is that, every organization is using a different project management tool, most commonly Jira or ALM or your in-house development tools, right? Or sorry, in-house project management tools. So it becomes a bit tricky to keep in sync with all these different tools. So that is where the spreadsheets come into the picture and they become a big help. So I am creating these test cases in the spreadsheet for understanding of the generic masses, and so everybody is able to correlate with it, right? So I hope that this is okay with you, and you're able to understand the basic intent, and then you can create test cases in your system as per your organization needs, right? So let's start now. As you see on the screen right now, let's discuss the first test case, and the test case title reads: Validate the first name and the last name fields and validate whether they correct the validate whether they take the correct data or not, right? Now one might question that what are these different fields that is created by QA testers log, date tested, test data, what is the relevance of these fields? I have already explained this in the first video of the series that you're watching, the series designing different types of test cases. I've already done that, so go to the first video and have a look at it, because it'll help you to understand these parameters if you do not have a knowledge about this. So continuing, let's go to the test steps first of all, and let's follow these steps one by one. The first step says that navigate to the URL, which I've already done, and in the expected result, it says the site should open, which already is there on the screen, right? And in the second step, it says that fill in the first and the last name as Harry Potter. So I'll go ahead and I'll fill in the name as Harry Potter. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was a very genuine mistake. So let's go to the sorry. Let's see the expected result of the second step first. It says user should be able to fill in the data, which I was. Then the third step says change the field or press tab, because I need to uh, change the cursor from here. And why it says so? User should not get any error and be able to enter the name. And this might be a bit tricky for you to understand, or might be a bit confusing for you to understand. So I'll reiterate. So let's suppose I delete the data from the first name field and I just simply press tab and move the cursor. It gives you an error, right? So that is the intent of that tab, that even after you press tab, the person should be able to navigate to some other field and there should be no error, right? Do not focus on the below fields. That is I mean, designing the test cases for email field and everything will be covered in the next video, so don't focus on that. Just focus on the first name and the last name field for now, right? And of course, we have covered all the three steps. We have verified the expected result, and this test case is a pass. Now one tip for you before we go on to the next test case, that one might know and one should know, that whenever there is a scenario in your organization or on your live project, and if there is a scenario wherein you have first name and last name field, as I've done here, I've created one single test case for first name and last name. Do not do that in your project, right? Because I am doing this for explanation purposes, for teaching purposes. You will be doing this for your project purposes, for your delivery purposes, right? So let's assume that the first name field has no bug and the last name field has a bug, right? So, and if you have only one test case, you might not be able to close the first name field functionality, or you might not able to be to say that first name functionality is working as expected. So it's better to create two different test cases and then track them individually. So if all the things relating to first name are working fine, you go ahead and close that test case. And if all the things relating to last name are not working fine, you keep that test case open. So it's a tip that always try to bifurcate the test cases as much as possible. So let's talk about the second test case now. And the title says validate the specified character limit on first and last name fields, which means that let's suppose you have these input fields in front of you, right? Let me go ahead and delete the data first. And you have to make sure that the user is not able to input infinite number of characters in these fields like this. I mean, it should not be that I can go ahead and input thousands of characters in it, right? Why is this? One might question that, okay, this test case seems good, but what is the intent behind this? I mean, what's the harm if I input 10 number of characters? Doesn't matter, right? It does, because there are people out there who are not good, who are bad cops basically, who want to break the system. In very generic terms, the hackers, right? So if you allow this character limit to be not implemented, and just imagine a scenario wherein a hacker comes into the picture, and he or she goes ahead and just runs a script, and there are tools available in the market. They run a script with the help of which they can input 10 lakh characters at one go, right? Now just think it from the common sense that if you have an input field, and if a person is just putting in data continuously for hours, the website will not be able to handle that much load, and it will either slow down or it will crash, which will impact your business in general. So that is why it is important to implement a character limit, and that is why it is important to test it, right? And that is the intent behind this test case. I hope that the intent is clear to you, right? So let me go ahead and let me show you the test case for it, or the test steps for it per se. So the first test step says that navigate to this URL, which is of course which we have done. The second one says fill in the first and the last name is Harry Potter, and the user should be able to fill in the data is the expected. So let me go ahead and let me put in the data as Harry Potter. Right, and now let's go to the third step, which says copy the data and keep on pasting till the specified character limit is reached. Right, now you have to understand one thing. I am not the one who developed or who tested this web page in practically, or uh, I'm using this as a reference, so I have not a lot of idea about the character limit per se. But this test case is being created to help you understand the approach of different test cases for any functionality. So assuming that any input field should have around 60 to 70 character limit, depending on the type of field. I mean, name should not have more than 50-60 character limit, logically. So assume that every field will not have more than 60 to 70 character limit, especially the name field. Address might have 150 to 100. So you have to test it. And how will you test it is that you go ahead and let's suppose you feel that it is 50 or something, right? So I'm telling you the best way to do it manually. Of course, automation wise, you can use the scripts and everything, and then you can code it out and you can get the exact number, but that is something which is a different chapter. But for now, let's suppose you have to go ahead and check it, right? So you go ahead and you copy the string and you paste it, let's suppose 8 to 10 times. And now if you want to see what is the number of characters that you've input, so of course you will not go ahead and calculate it manually, right? So what you do is you simply go ahead, select this entire string, copy it, and you paste it here. How do you reach here? Again, my bad, I'll show it to you. You click right, you click on inspect, then you go to console, and then you go ahead and paste this string within double quotes, right? And you go ahead and you write dot l e. As you see on the auto suggestions, it says length. You press tab and you press enter. I'm so sorry for this. You see this? This is 105. So 105 characters is something that you have input till now, and you have been able to input successfully. You did not get any error or anything, or you were not restricted to put in more data, right? So, and let's suppose if your character limit as specified by the BAs or the developers or the project management team was 70, so it's a bug. So that is the best way to test it and make sure that the field is working fine or not, as far as manual is concerned, right? So Next time when you have this scenario in your interview, or next time if you have this question anywhere, or next time if you want to implement in your project, come up with a test case. If and in most of the cases something like this is not specified in the user stories or in the requirements. So be the one who takes this initiative, gives this idea, and I'm sure you'll be appreciated for this, because this is a very important scenario to cover. So next time it's your responsibility to get this thing implemented, and if it is implemented, to test it out correctly using this method that I told you, and you know uh, uh, pay your part in delivering a good quality system, right? So thank you so much for watching, and I hope that this video was helpful to you and you gained something out of this. And yeah, thank you so much, and see you in the next video.